સંધાન ઓલ ગુજરાત ઇન્ટિગ્રેટેડ ક્લાસરૂમ
સેટેલાઇટના માધ્યમથી જોડતી કડી એટલે સંધાન.
Good evening friends. Today under the lecture series of All Gujarat Integrated Classroom by Sandhan, we are here to discuss a topic of law. Myself, Dr. Neepa Vyas from Sir Elisha Law College, Ahmedabad. Today I will deal with a topic of international law, whereby today I will discuss the subject of international law. Friends, as we all know as a student of law that international law deals with the areas of states to states, which means relationship of one state with another state is always been limited, controlled or administered by international law. This is the law which is considered as an emerging law, which means yet it is not the fully developed law as compared with the municipal law. એનો અર્થ એ થાય કે ઇન્ટરનેશનલ લો કે જે રાજ્ય વચ્ચેના સંબંધોને નિયમિત કરે છે, રેગ્યુલેટ કરે છે અને એની ઉપર દેખરેખ રાખે છે તેવો આ કાયદો છે. અને આ કાયદો એ હજી વિકસતો કાયદો છે, જેમ કે દેશના કાયદાઓની જેમ પૂરેપૂરો વિકસિત થયેલો નથી. આથી ઇન્ટરનેશનલ લોની અંદર એક હંમેશા ડિબેટેબલ પોઈન્ટ ઇઝ વિચ આર ધ સબ્જેક્ટ્સ ઓફ ઇન્ટરનેશનલ લો. ફ્રેન્ડ્સ, ધીસ સબ્જેક્ટ્સ ઓફ ઇન્ટરનેશનલ લો ઇઝ as given or the definition given by the father of the jurisprudence of international law, Oppenheim. Oppenheim has defined the subject of international law as, if you look into the slide as on the screen, an international person is one who possesses legal personality in international law so as itself to enjoy rights, duties or powers established in international law and the capacity to act on the plane whether directly or indirectly through another subject. ગુજરાતીમાં આ બાબતને સમજીએ તો આંતરરાષ્ટ્રીય વ્યક્તિ અથવા તો આંતરરાષ્ટ્રીય વિષય એટલે એવી વ્યક્તિ અથવા વિષય કે જે કાનૂની રીતે આંતરરાષ્ટ્રીય કાયદામાં અધિકારો, ફરજો અથવા તો જે કંઈ પણ સત્તા આંતરરાષ્ટ્રીય કાયદામાં આપવામાં આવે છે કે જે ક્ષમતા એટલા માટે મળી છે કે તે વ્યક્તિ અથવા વિષયને આંતરરાષ્ટ્રીય સ્તરે એક ક્ષમતાના આધારે સીધી રીતે અથવા તો આડકતરી રીતે સબ્જેક્ટ તરીકે પ્રાપ્ત થયેલ છે. આમ આ વ્યાખ્યા પ્રમાણે આપણે જોઈએ તો આંતરરાષ્ટ્રીય કાયદાના સબ્જેક્ટમાં મિત્રો ઓર કન્ડિશન છે. ધ કન્ડિશન ગિવન બાય ઓપેનહામ while defining the term subject of international law is the condition or. It is not only the subject or the entity which acquires rights, duties and capacity. This is the condition, not and but or. Rights, duties or capacity or personality. So if one particular entity is having rights and duties but that entity is not having power, that is also the subject as per the definition of Oppenheim. So friends, this is the reason why we are having various kinds of states as well as the different subjects. અહીંયા પ્રસ્તુત વ્યાખ્યાની અંદર અથવા નામની કન્ડિશન આપેલી છે, એટલે કે જે કોઈ પણ વ્યક્તિ અથવા તો વિષય કે જે અધિકારો અથવા ફરજો અથવા તો સત્તા ધરાવતા હોય. વિચ કાઇન્ડ ઓફ પાવર ઓર ઓથોરિટી? the capacity being an entity to enter into relations with different states. આ એક એવી બાબત છે કે જેથી કરીને we can say that not only the rights and duties are the qualification of a subject, but if the particular entity does not possess the right or duty, but it has the power to start any relation with any other state, it is the subject of international law. This is the definition given by Oppenheim, who is considered as the father of jurisprudence of international law. Friends, due to this definition, and if you check the history of international law, there were three different theories are covered by international law to consider the subjects of international law. These are the three theories considered as the subjects of international law. These theories are: the first theory is realistic theory, the second theory is fictional theory, and the third one is functional theory. If we take into consideration the realistic theory, this realistic theory is given by again none other than Oppenheim. Oppenheim gave this first theory of realistic, which gives only the authority to state to consider as the subject of international law. As per the realistic theory, friends, state is the only subject matter of international law. The reason is state only having the rights and duties in international plane. Though state is composed by its members, which are human beings, but these human beings, or as per the law, the individuals are not the subject of international law as per this realistic theory. The reason or the other points discussed by Oppenheim while giving this realistic theories are: as state is the only entity which gives rights and duties to its member, it is the only subject of international law. So state is all the time dealing with the relationship of another state, but not the human beings, not the members. As per this theory, the another point to consider is the state is the only subject of international law, whereas its members or the human beings or the individuals are the object of international law. Dear friend, if you apply this theory into present area, we, the individuals, the citizens, are having rights from where? What is the flow of rights and duties? Dear friends, acts or the rules given by the state. So it is the state which gives the rights and duties to its members. So citizen is the object of international law as per this first realistic theory. It is the subject only the state. State is the subject of international law. I am repeating, but the individual is the object of international law. So the only entity which is qualified by this first theory is state. If you apply this theory in this modern time or in this present era, dear friends, what about the personal laws? What about the private international law? When this theory was introduced, at that time there was the only one concept of public international law. The second branch of international law was not at all established. So this theory was proved right at that time. But it is criticized by other jurists that if you think only about the public international law, what about the other branch, which is the private international law, which deals with the relationship of an individual with the other individual of other state? So this theory is not proved right as per the criticism of the other jurists, whereby as per the realistic theory only state was the subject matter of international law. If you look into the second theory, which is considered as the fictional theory, dear friend, the giver of this theory was Kelsen, another eminent jurist of international law. Kelsen gave the thought that it is the municipal law which directs its members directly, and it is the international law which governs the individuals indirectly. Municipal law is applicable to the members of the state, which means the individual. Here the concept of this theory was, as state does not have any physical body, state does not have soul, so state is not a subject of international law. Then which is the subject of international law? The members who compose state are the only subject of international law. Thus, by fictional theory, only individuals are considered as the subject of international law. But this is also not correct, because the individual gets rights from the state, and when one state is entering into any other relation with another state, it is state which enters into an agreement, not an individual. So state is also the subject of international law in addition to individual. This theory is based on a fiction that as state does not have soul, state cannot consider as the subject of international law. So this theory is known as fictional theory. The third theory is functional theory. This theory was first time discussed legally by the International Court of Justice in the case of WHO, which means World Health Organization, and agreement with Egypt. In this particular case, the provision or the question of the case was the interpretation of the agreement entered by WHO and Egypt. And while discussing the interpretation, International Court of Justice observed that international organizations are subject of international law and bound by any obligation incumbent upon them under international law or under their constitution or agreement to which they are parties. I am repeating in Gujarati. આંતરરાષ્ટ્રીય સંસ્થાઓ આંતરરાષ્ટ્રીય કાયદાના વિષયો છે, અને આવા આંતરરાષ્ટ્રીય સંસ્થાનો એકબીજા સાથે થયેલા સમજૂતીઓ અથવા તો તેમની ઉપર અસર કરતા આંતરરાષ્ટ્રીય કાયદાના નિયમો અથવા તો જે તે સંસ્થાઓના કોન્સ્ટિટ્યુશન અથવા તો બંધારણ દ્વારા પ્રાપ્ત થયેલી ફરજો અને અધિકારોને આધીન છે. સૌ પ્રથમ વખત આંતરરાષ્ટ્રીય કાયદા દ્વારા રચવામાં આવેલી આંતરરાષ્ટ્રીય ન્યાયની અદાલતે આ ત્રીજા પ્રકારની ફંક્શનલ થિયરીને સપોર્ટ કર્યો જ્યારે તેણે ઉપરોક્ત કેસનું જજમેન્ટ આપ્યું. તે પ્રમાણે હવે અત્યારના સમયમાં આ મોડર્ન ટાઈમ્સની અંદર there are 3 subjects of international law. The first is state, the second is individual, and the third is the international organizations. Friends, as I have mentioned earlier, that this is the emerging law, or this branch is considered as developing branch of a law. So till today only these 3 are recognized by this branch of law as the subjects of international law. It may happen in future that some fourth subject may also be inserted by another name with another title as the subject of international law. But due to this development till today we have 3 subjects of international law. The first is state, Rajya, the second is individual, Vyakti, and the third is international organization, Antarrashtriya Sansthaon. Now this is the general discussion of subjects of international law. During this session I will deal with the first subject of international law, that is state. How state is considered as the subject of international law, which are the kinds of state as per the international law. So first, states as the subject of international law. Friends, to discuss the subject we must clear the definition of the state. So it was first given by the Montevideo Convention on Rights and Duties of States of 1933.